Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hello, welcome back to Bois, King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Hello, Rusty.
Hey, how you doing?
We are at Season 2, Episode 5, Jumpin' Crack Bass. It's a gas.
Which is Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Right.
From the Rolling Stones, right?
You got it. So, let's get right into it. I really like this episode because it's such a departure from everything else.
Oh, Hank, yeah, it's definitely un-Hank.
It's very un-Hank.
It's an un-Hank-like episode.
Yeah. So we start at Arlen City Park, big old stone there that says Arlen City Park. And we've got Hank and Bobby. They are digging for worms.
Yep.
Which is the God-approved American way to find worms.
Well, you know, it's
we find out.
Better than fishing with crack.
It's true. So Bobby's griping about being cold. He's wanting to know why we don't just buy worms at the bait shop. And Hank gives him one of his life lessons, which says bait worms or bait shop worms are factory farm worms. They live in little cages their whole lives.
Yeah.
They never get to run around free. It's really sad. So Bobby's like, why don't we just buy fish? And Hank says, well, you're really kind of missing the point here. We don't buy fish because we don't fish for the fish.
Yeah, we fish because 90% of what I like about this sport, and it is a sport. Yeah, he's got to make sure it's a sport. That's right. But he likes sitting in the boat, not doing anything for 5 hours. Yeah, going to left, another left turn.
That's right. And
it's a sport, is sitting in the boat for 5 hours. So it's more about sitting in the boat and probably, slugging brewskis than it is about fishing.
Yeah, it seems to be that most of the things that Hank and the boys enjoy has a common thread like that. He does mention that God will smile on you every once in a while. When you hook one, you're reeling it in. This is the thing that my dad used to tell me about fishing, like that it was just so peaceful and stuff. This episode reminds me of my dad. My dad used to go fishing every weekend. He'd be gone all day Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know, fishing. My dad wasn't a huge on fishing. It was mainly work. But
yeah.
I don't know. Fishing for me was always really traumatic. I didn't really like. I don't like touching. I don't like the texture of fish.
Really? Yeah.
I don't mind sitting there and casting out and catching fish and stuff, but the texture of fish, I mean, it makes me look. I
always thought their little teeth are weird.
Yeah, well, that and I've never touched it. I've never put my hand. My hand has never been inside of a fish's mouth, other than a fish stick.
I have. You can't put fish sticks in a fish's mouth. That's
no, you
bad.
can't.
So he tells Bobby about how it's about a man, a rod, a lake, and a fish, and it all starts with this hand dug American worm, and that's why they're doing that. And he talks about being old and incapacitated, and what's going to happen with Bobby. And Bobby's like, Dad, who is going to take care of me?
Yeah.
Which I find, it's
Dad,
just funny.
Yeah, he just looks at him. He's like, Dad, who is going to take care of me?
It's just funny that Bobby, like, never thinks I'm going to be an adult and grown up and do adult things.
No, it doesn't.
So they get interrupted because the alarm's going off on Hank's truck. Somebody's trying to steal his truck. So he runs over there real quick, and he's like, hey, get out of there. Get out of my truck. And the guy's like, he grabs onto the guy. The guy's in the front seat. And he places him under citizen's arrest. And he says,
you ain't going anywhere.
He says, you can't do that. He says, the hell I can't. And my favorite is Bobby going, the hell he can't.
The hell he can't.
Language, Bobby.
Language, Bobby.
Yeah, as an American citizen, Hank says that he has the authority to detain him until an officer of the peace arrives. He also has the authority to kick his ass, which is something
your father forgot
that's right,
to do.
His father should have done it. Yeah. Now we get to court, and you were telling me who the judge was.
Oh, yeah. The judge is James Carville. So his name's Roland McFarland, but he's played by James Carville, Chester James Carville.
James Carville, the guy who ran Clinton's campaign.
Yep.
Married to, I always want to say Marley Matlin, and that's not right.
That Mary Madeline.
Yeah, Mary Madeline.
Courtesy of Arthur Madison, our fact checker.
And she, hey,
RDX.
Arthur. How are you, man? I'm going to throw something in there just to throw you off, Arthur. Anyway, they are a one of them runs Republican campaigns, the other one runs Democratic campaigns, and they were big in the news when the Clintons were around.
Yeah, James Carville did Clinton's campaign, and she was the manager for George H.W.'s losing campaign.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the same time they ran against each other.
So anyway, Peggy is in the court with Hank and Bobby, and because it's a family affair. You got to go to court together as a family.
Yeah, everybody has to be there together.
And they talk about how Peggy tells him how creative this Judge Roland McFarland is with his sentencing. And Hank is a little worried because he's not big on creative or progressive things
At all.
But the judge recognizes Hank and thanks him for doing the citizen's arrest, and that's when Peggy's not even talking, and Hank's
not
like, "Quiet, Peggy."
Quiet, Peggy.
And so he talks about how he's lucky that he apprehended him, and he apprehended him at
great risk to his own person. Yeah, lucky he didn't get killed.
Yeah, Peggy's like, lucky Hank didn't get killed. I hope they lock that thief up and throw away the key. And
that thief is my boyfriend.
She's sitting next to a pregnant lady who says that thief is my boyfriend. Yeah.
Boyfriend.
So Mr. Judge Roland McFarland.
Oh, this kills me. Okay, hot wire.
he sentences this guy to 3 months living in a truck.
You gotta live in a truck. Well, in prison, they'll just teach you how to be a better truck thief. He says, so you're gonna spend the next 90 days in the cab of a pickup.
An import.
That's and right. The whole crowd goes, oh.
Yeah, and Hank's like, finally, some common sense. He goes, Hank is now, this whole ordeal is over with the trying to steal his truck. And so Hank goes to the impound lot trying to get his truck back.
Yep.
The guy, he tells him, here's a picture of my truck if that'll help. And the guy takes him to Space G26. And that's when we find out that Hank's truck has been just demolished, taken apart. Yeah, they were looking in his truck for drugs.
Yeah, and they were looking in the spark plug.
Hank's argument is, Hank's argument, it was in my front seat. It wasn't in my spark plugs.
Yeah, he didn't hide any drugs in my spark plugs.
Yeah. Next thing we see is Hank has gotten the truck home, but the parts are strewn all about the front yard.
Yep.
And Hank.
Okay, and this is what I like, this part right here. So his truck's all tore apart and everything.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, and then Hank, he's got to, I got to go to the lake. My head's going to pop. And
that's the part that reminds me of my dad.
Yeah.
Right there.
And then Peggy's trying to calm him down or whatever. And then
if you have a stroke,
who help me take care of Bobby?
Take care of Bobby.
And then you have Luann. And
Luann always working on the cars.
Yes, I was going to get into. Yeah. So this shows again, Luann is really a talent.
She really is.
Like, everybody thinks Luann is just this dumb girl, but
not with cars.
She said, I've got the 92 Ford truck schematic, Uncle Hank, and I've lined up all the parts.
So you have to think that she's the one that lined everything up out in the front yard.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like Hank, they're at court, and then the truck gets dropped off and he's freaking out, and then she comes out and has his truck
got everything done,
lined out, ready to go almost.
But one of my favorite parts, though, is Bobby. He's like, because Hank's kind of milling around the kitchen. He's looking for something. Bobby's like, Dad, what are you looking for? Are you looking for chicken? It's right here. Chicken.
Yeah. I'm looking for my dang fishing shears.
This is the only thing anybody could be looking for is this fried chicken.
That's it. That's all Bobby's looking for.
And so Peggy offers Hank some ginseng tea that she got from Nancy, who got it from John Redcorn.
Yeah.
Because she's trying to calm Hank down. Hank's like, ginseng. I don't need to get all hopped up on dope. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of my dad, too, on that part, because he doesn't like taking anything like aspirin or anything like that. So, like, when the doctor said, well, you need to take this and this and this, and he's like, well, I don't need to take that.
Did you ever have anybody in your family that took that BC powder?
Yeah.
That's a very Texas thing.
I think that's a Southern thing. Yeah,
very, very Southern thing. Luann gives him some tips on being stressed out. She gets stressed out at beauty school sometimes because of all the combing and the politics.
Yeah, I just do yoga.
She can put her feet behind her head, and she asks if he can show. And Hank's like, "Oh God, no!"
Yeah, no, keep your legs below your waist for God's sake.
That's right. That's right. So he just needed to get back out on the lake and fish. The next thing you see is Hank has rented a car from the Megalo Rent, which I'm assuming is in the parking lot at the Megalo Mart. And he is out on the he's out fishing, but he's out there with the boys, and it's just everything's silent. And he comments on how quiet it is and how great it is. And then you see the boys, they're talking about their lures, because they use garlic scented lures, they use electric lures, anything that'll give them an edge. And Hank is very upset with that because he calls it cheater bait.
Yeah.
Because if you're not fishing with a God-given American worm,
straight out the earth,
yeah, you're cheating. You're cheating. Dale tells him that him and his worms are fishing in the past, in the days of black and white television, democratically elected Congress. And then they start catching fish. And this is a heck of a problem because Hank is not catching fish with his worms. One of my favorite lines is when Dale goes to take a picture of Boomhauer with his fish and says, "Say cheese to meet you." Cheese to meet you.
Cheese to meet you.
Yeah. And so Hank, of course, is a catch and release guy. He doesn't want to, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And he puts the fish back out there and says, "All right, there, fella, tell your friends that there's plenty more where that came from." And then they just start catching fish. Yeah. The Dale says, "Hank, maybe you ought to be taking the pictures. That'll give you something to do." Yeah. And he tells the guy again, "You may be the one catching fish, but I'm the only one catching the fish God's way."
Yeah, you missed the scrum diddly-gar licious or whatever he said with the cheater bait.
Yeah. Boomhauer. And then Bill, always the first to a point, says, "You know what I just realized? Hank hasn't caught a fish."
Nope, he didn't catch one all day.
You know what else I just realized? It's the first time we caught more fish than Hank. And so
looking to go for a swim, Bill.
Yeah. He's ready to throw Bill right into the lake. And so they're done fishing, and they were all going to go to the pharmacy to get some aloe vera for Bill's back because Bill is just burned to a crisp at this point. I love anytime Bill gets to take his shirt off and stuff like that in public. And Hank tells him that he's going to meet him later. He's going to go over to the bait shop and buy some new hooks. He walks into Layaway Ray's Bait and Tackle.
Yo, crazy Layaway Ray.
And Ray is obviously voiced by Stephen Root, same guy who does Bill. But he says, "Dang, Ray," because everything's gone off the shelves. Everything's gone off the shelves.
Yeah, it's pretty much empty.
He's like, "Dang, Ray, what happened? Did I miss one of your Ray's Gone Trout of His Mind sales?"
Yeah.
Trout of His Mind. And that's funny because we don't really catch trout here.
No.
We're not a trout fishing
No, it's like catfish and bass.
Catfish, bass, perch, yeah. But he tells him about how he can't compete with Megalo Mart, and Hank agrees and says how much he hates Megalo Mart because people go in there to save a nickel and they put half of Arlen out of business.
Yep.
And that is true.
But the thing is he's wiping it down with a Megalo Mart rag while he's doing it.
Well, yeah, and he's putting gas everywhere while he's talking to Hank. Yeah.
So it's funny because he's pouring gas everywhere and wiping everything down to, burn it down.
He is.
And he's talking about how everybody's closing down and nobody can compete with Megalomart right before he lights it on fire, which is funny because later on you'll see Ray again in court.
Oh yeah,
at the very end of the show.
It's a very good callback.
He does actually appear in a couple of other episodes too, but all the other episodes he. I think 2 of them he's working at the Megalomart, which is funny because after he burns it down and gets out of jail, I guess he ends up at the Megalomart.
There you go. And that's pretty close to life, right?
And that's from RDX, our fact checker.
There you go. Thank you again. And so he tells him about a guy named Jack. And this is Ray telling Hank about a guy named Jack that he made homemade bait. He wrote the book on homemade bait.
Yeah.
Of course, it's mostly a bunch of scribbles because he never went to school. I love that line. And so he's asking him about his shop. He said he doesn't have a shop. He tells him where to go. Says he sells it out of his truck at 6th and Woodmont. Now, I don't know what part of town that is, but later on we find out that it's not
a very good part of town at all.
Not so good part of town. Yeah. And so he says thanks, and he says, I'll come back tomorrow and pick up your propane tank. And Ray's like, well, why don't you call first?
Yeah.
And then we see as Hank drives away, the whole thing blows up.
Yep.
Ray's bait and tackle just explodes.
As Ray drives off. There was kind of an animation error there too. The door shuts by itself.
Mm-hmm. So we get the next thing is it's getting towards nighttime. And Hank is pulling up into what I can assume is a corner of 6th and Woodmont, but I believe he's got the wrong address.
Or the right address, the wrong place.
Yes. And I guess, ne'er-do-well comes out. He's over there selling some drugs, and he says, there's kind of a rap music thing playing in the background, to kind of give you the feel of this place. And, hey, G, what do you want? What do you need? What are you looking to buy? And so Hank tells him that he talked to Ray. He's looking for Jack. He wants to try something new. The guy's asking him what he needs. He says, he was telling me about your bait. This guy thinks it's very funny that he calls dope bait. And then ask him what he's looking to spend. He says, I got $20. The guy tells him that $20 is all you need. That'll buy all the bait you need.
Tells him to rock on.
He said, rock on.
Yeah,
that's right.
Throws him 3 vials of crack and tells him to rock on.
Yeah, and Hank's pretty impressed because they come in the freshness jars.
Yeah, you don't get that at the Megalomart.
That's right. So,
well, I think it's funny too how everybody acts in this movie this episode. Sorry, about all the bait and stuff. Everybody acts like they're on crack for the bait.
Yes.
Everybody like fiends for the bait kind of thing.
Yes, very much so. So the next thing we see is they are out fishing again. They want Hank to either fish or get off the pot.
Yep.
And he's over there trying to put the crack on the hook. And he's wanting to know how Jack even fishes with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the weirdest thing, like Bill, just out of the blue, I like beer, Hank. Don't you like beer?
I love beer.
I love beer. Beer is, and he's still talking about beer. Yeah, as he finally, Hank catches a fish. Sweet Gene Vincent, I'm back. Gene Vincent, do you know Gene Vincent?
It's an English band, right? Or English,
Gene Vincent,
English
he was
artist,
English.
Sorry, he's an English singer.
And he did a lot of like rockabilly type
okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet Gene Vincent, I'm back. And the boys start reacting about how Hank is the fishing magician. He's back. He's catching stuff again. Hank sees that the bass he catches has a little red spot on his head. He calls him Redhead.
Yeah,
puts him
Redhead.
back. Yep, puts him back in the water. And then the boys think that Hank's still fishing with worms.
Yep.
And so it's like they're hungry for worms today. Why don't you pass me a worm? Everybody wants a worm now because that's the thing. And Hank, a little bit of a stick here. He's, what happened? Batteries go dead on your electric spinner.
Yeah.
Anyway, they start quizzing Hank about whether he's got blood dough balls or what he's got that he's fishing with. And
yeah, Hank only fishes with worms.
They're going
back
and forth.
Anything else would be cheating.
Yeah, and then Dale finds out that Hank is a little bit of a hypocrite, which I don't really understand the hippie part of it. But
yeah,
okay,
homemade.
Yeah,
it's the homemade part of it.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah. So Hank comments, this is natural bait. It's homemade in the USA. And Dale launches into, you can offer all the denials and rationalizations you want, but the bottom of the line is still the same. We want to try that bait. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
All right, he's off. A little chunk will do you.
And so he gives a little chunk to everybody.
And then they start noticing while they're fishing. So he throws out the hook again, and that same damn fish that he just threw back in the water, and boom, bangs his hook. So he's getting these fish addicted to crack. So there he's fishing, and it's crazy. They're sitting there fishing with crack, and the same fish keep hitting everybody's hooks.
He's got the fish hooked on crack.
Yeah.
He tells them that it was a great day. He caught more fish than he did in the 80s, and that was the Reagan years.
The Reagan years.
What that has to do with
ponds were full.
What that has to do with fish, I'm not real sure.
But I think it's funny that they're fishing with crack, and he's talking about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. He then we see Hank come into the house real late. Peggy's already asleep. She's in bed. He kind of sneaks into bed, lays there for about 2 seconds, and then realizes, oh, crap, I want to go fishing again.
Yeah.
So he goes back out. He goes fishing. The next time we see Hank, it's in the morning. And Peggy's like, where you been? He says, good Lord, the sun just came up. You've been out there fishing the whole time? He goes,
no, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
It rose at 4:57
a.m. That's right. Exactly 1 hour after I landed 2 10-pound bucket mouths on a single hook. So he's catching 2 fish at a time now because he's putting crack on his hook.
They're both trying to fight for a piece of Jack's miracle
bait. That's
right.
That
was another thing we forgot to mention. So when he was in the poorer part of town, the rougher area of town, he had missed. So he bought the crack and then drove off, and then later on they show a truck with the guy that says Jack's Bait, but it's spelt wrong. It's spelled B-A-T-E, and that goes back to where the guy said he was pretty dumb. He didn't go to school. He couldn't even spell bait. Yeah,
that's right. And so now we're back in the kitchen again with Peggy quizzing him about where he's been. And Bobby wants to know why his dad's buying bait. He says, remember, you said it all starts with a hand-dug American worm. And now Hank is having to backtrack a little bit. He said, no. I mean, yes, that's how it starts, but a lot of things end up different from where they start. Like, remember that time I started to build you a clubhouse? I ended up with a new tool shed. And then he asked Luann about how the truck's going. She says, bad news, Uncle Hank. I had to order a new fuel pump. I figured it was urgent, so I asked them to ups it, not UPS it.
Ups it.
Looking to start a business? You'll need a registered agent to receive legal notices and documents on your behalf. Look no further than Universal Registered Agents. Our team of professionals will ensure you never miss an important document, and we can even help you form your business with services like entity formation and document filing. Plus, we'll help you switch to our service for a lower cost and pay the change fees. Trust Universal Registered Agents to help your business succeed. Contact us today to learn more.
From the host of the popular podcast, The Only One in the Room, Stash by Laura Cathcart Robbins is a propulsive and vivid memoir about the journey to sobriety and self-love amidst addiction, privilege, racism, and self-sabotage. Best-selling author Holly Whitaker calls it an irresistibly delicious story. And MacArthur Foundation fellow and best-selling author Kiese Lehman says Stash is emotionally riveting. Buy Stash by Laura Cathcart Robbins now, wherever books are sold.
This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Buying insurance can be complicated, and you might have a lot of questions, like, what if my policy doesn't cover that? Or, what if I need to make a claim in the middle of the night? Good news, State Farm is there for all your what-ifs. You can reach them 24/7, talk through any questions with your agent, and you can even file a claim on the State Farm mobile app. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com to get a quote today.
The all-new Chevy Colorado is made for more. Stacked with the latest in-vehicle technologies like a class-leading 11-inch diagonal center touchscreen and an extra-large wireless charging pad. Plus, it features wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to make staying connected easy wherever your adventure takes you. Chevy Colorado, made for more. Learn more at Chevrolet.com/truck/Colorado. Claims based on latest competitive data.
It is summertime here in Central Texas, and I don't know about you, but I am already sweating.
Oh yeah, I've got swamp ass and ball sweat more than I know what to do with. And if it wasn't for Ballsy and their products, I'm sure right now I'd be able to smell my own balls. So I'm really thankful for their products.
Yeah, your cleanliness is a reflection of you, especially below the belt. And I think about cleanliness a lot because, like, I've got a beard. I've had one for a long time. You've got one. But I never really think about taking care of my down under as I do my face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think that a lot of people, think about keeping their balls clean and fresh.
No.
I think that's an endemic in males is keeping our groin area clean.
Yeah, because, it's no secret that balls are prone to odor, sweat, irritation. So you need something like Ballsy.
Yeah, so guys, you need to upgrade your balls game with Ballsy. Yep. They've got quality, long-lasting products formulated to keep you fresh, comfortable, and confident. And for me, I tried out the Ballsy trimmer, the beard trimmer part of it. I shaved my mustache with it.
That's the cool thing. It comes with both heads.
It comes with both heads.
So it's not like you have to use the same head on your face as you do your intimate regions.
Yeah, your intimate regions. Yeah. So they got your sack covered with a ball wash, sack spray, and more. And I'll attest to the ball wash. My balls have never smelled cleaner and felt fresher ever in the entirety of my life. So
yeah, I took a small sample of friends and family, and they said my balls smelled wonderful.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. My dog told me.
It was uncomfortable after that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
So, when you go to Ballsy, you can get different things like you can take a quiz to see where to start. They have a sack pack. The sack pack has all of it. It's the
trifecta.
It is the ultimate trifecta of products specially formulated to take care of your most prized possessions, which should be your balls.
And the big thing is it is made right here in the U.S. of A.
In the U.S. of A. That's right. And it always will be.
Always will be.
Or so tell the people at Ballsy.
Or so says Ballsy.
So says Ballsy.
Have over 200,000 currently satisfied customers with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you've got to give it a try. Yeah. There's no risks involved. Yeah. And the only thing that could happen out of this is clean, fresh balls.
That's what I'm saying, right? So what you need to do is go to ballwash.com, put in promo code KOTH, as in King of the Hill. So ballwash.com, promo code KOTH, and you'll receive 20% off your order of $50 or more. That's 20% off when you go to ballwash.com and put in promo code KOTH. So says Ballsy.
Balls.
Hey, Rusty.
Hey, Mike.
Your dog deserves tasty, healthy, real food, not kibble. Don't give him kibble.
No, I like to give my dog food that's created by a vet that exceeds all industry standards. Fresh dog food, stable life. A stable shelf life and affordable. This food here, Sundays for Dogs, Mike.
Sundays for Dogs.
It's 40% less expensive than leading fresh brands.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's created by a vet. It's shelf stable, which I don't get those dog foods that are in the freezer and refrigerator and stuff. That just seems like a lot. I've got a friend of mine who makes his own cat food, which is weird. But
it's especially weird when you could get it from Sundays for Dogs.
That's what I'm saying, right? He's got cats, so he's weird anyway. But
he could feed it Sundays for Dogs.
Feed his cats to Sundays for Dogs?
It's created by a vet. It's fresh dog food. It's customized for dog size, breed, and activity level. So all he has to do is take a quick quiz and see if it's right for his pup.
Yeah, you just go to sundaysfordogs.com. You take the quiz. Best part about all this, let me tell you about some of the benefits first. You're going to get increased excitement from your dog about eating, which my dogs are not super excited about eating because I buy them junk, but not anymore. You'll get better stool, which, if your dogs stay outside all day, that's a big deal. You'll get more energy out of your dogs, improve weight, softer coat, just a better life for your dogs if you feed them this
my
stuff.
Dog loves it. It's real easy for her to eat. She's an older dog, but it's really easy for her to eat. And
she's 104.
She's 104, yes. Right. And the fact
not
that
in
it's
dog years,
not in dog years, in human years. Yeah, she's extremely, extremely old, and I think it's due to eating Sundays for Dogs.
Sure.
Which the quality ingredients are really good for her health. The crap they put in, a lot of the store brand stuff is just junk for them. Yeah. and a lot of filler and stuff like that.
It's like feeding your kid Doritos all day.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like a bag of Doritos.
That kid's going to stop up at some point.
And Sundays for Dogs is like a bag of carrots with...
It is. It's like carrots and real meat and things like
good
that.
Stuff. Yeah.
You know, if you go to sundaysfordogs.com and take that quiz and figure out the right plan for your pup, the best part about that is you can get 35% off your first order if you use the code KOTH, as in King of the Hill, KOTH, and you'll get 35% off your order.
Well, 35%.
That's a big deal.
That
you know,
deal.
most of these things you hear is 10%, but for this one, you go to sundaysfordogs.com, enter KOTH as the code, and get 35% off.
Yeah, that's great.
Woof.
Watch us fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
All right, Hank is he's talking to Luann about where his truck's at, and he's like, good thing I just got back from fishing, or that would bother me, you know, the fact that his truck's taking longer than he thought.
Yeah, she had to get the fuel pump from Upset.
And so he's like, yep, I'm bothered, had to get back on the lake.
Yep.
And so he goes out and he starts fishing again. I mean, this guy is eat up with fishing. You would think that Hank is taking the crack while he's out there.
That's the way it acts. That's why they all really start to act about it.
So they are the boys are now in the car again,
and it's weird because it's a car. I don't even know whose car this is or where this car comes from. It's a little rental car.
It's that Megalomart
the
car.
Megalomart car.
And I do love the fact that Hank is wearing the Bass Pro Shop hat the entire time. Every time you see him fishing. Yeah.
This scene I like the most. This is a really, really funny scene where they're all sitting in this car arguing about the bait, and he said, "I can't wait to try some of your new bait, my bait." And then he's, starts to think, "Oh, I wish I could help you, but only have a little bait left." He goes, "That's all right. It only takes a little bit to catch the hogs with that stuff." He goes, "Yeah, it's too bad. I'm all out." He said, "You just said you had a little left." And then Hank goes, "Well, that's right. And then I used it up." And then this is a funny line here.
He's just straight up lying to him about the fact that he doesn't have any bait. Yeah.
Which, according to our fact checker here, this line, don't lie to his friend, because when you lie, you make an ass out of you and me, which is, of course, him screwing up the, when you assume things, you make an ass out of you and me line.
Sure.
And then
Boomhauer.
Yeah, don't be guarding.
Don't be guarding that bait, man.
That dang old bait.
Anyway, he says, I just remembered I told Bobby I'd take him fishing, just the two of us, see ya. And he leaves all three of them in the car. just
leaves them and gets
there.
out, yeah.
And Dale pulls out some gum, and of course Bill is like, I'd like some gum.
I'd take a stick of that
gum. Next thing we see is we got Bobby and Hank out on the lake, and Bobby is griping about the fact that he's tired. He wants to know where the whole sitting around for 5 hours doing nothing went.
Yeah, because he's sitting there
he's catching
using
fish.
Bobby. Well, he's using Bobby to pull the fish off the hook. So
right.
Bobby's not even fishing.
That's right.
Hank's fishing, and Bobby's just making it go faster.
Next thing, the boys are done fishing. They're back home. Hank and Peggy are in bed. There's a noise coming from the garage. And it sounds like somebody's trying to break in. Peggy wakes up and says, "Wake up, Hank, we're being burgled." And then I love the fact that she jumps out of the bed and breaks a leg off
the chair.
She's ready to go.
You go check on Bobby. I'll see what's going on.
To be honest with you, I would take her over Hank. I think she would beat the tar out of somebody.
Yeah, she was pretty ready to go always.
Yeah, and so we find out that it's Dale Gribble out in Hank's garage looking for this crackbait.
Yeah, he's broken into his friend's house in the middle of the night to look for bait.
He's nuts.
Which is cracking a vial.
Yeah, he's like, let me see how much is left. And Hank breaks in and he's like, "Let go of that tackle box." He says, "Okay, it's me, Dale Gribble." He said, "I said drop the box." He doesn't care if it's Dale or not.
I don't care who it is.
And then Dale quickly goes into, "Well, my termite inspection is concluded. Congratulations, you passed."
And he slinks out of there.
He starts slinking out. That's right. Next morning, you see them all sitting around for breakfast, and Hank is already dressed for fishing.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
He's dressed for fishing throughout this whole thing. And Bobby says, "Can I have some more butter for my pancakes?"
That's it. I'm going fishing.
It didn't take much. Yeah. And so Hank is out there by himself now. He's trying to fish with this crackbait, and the fish are just not taking it. They're swimming away from the bait, which is something they didn't do before. They won't really even touch it. And so he tries to convince the fish. I mean, he's literally talking to the fish, telling them it's the good stuff.
It's the good stuff. It ain't a worm. It's the good stuff.
So we see Hank come back from a spoiled fishing trip, and he just chunks the bait at Dale, because Dale's in his front yard for some reason, or his backyard, I guess.
Yeah.
He's in his yard for some reason. He chunks it at him, and he says, "Oh, man, the wonder bait for me." He said, "Wait a minute, what's wrong with it?" And so Hank has to tell him it doesn't work anymore. The fish won't touch the stuff. They spit it out like poison.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I just don't get it." And Dale, being an experienced bug killer.
Yeah, take it from a graduate of the Exterminators Academy at Humble. You've introduced a new element into their ecosystem. They've gotten wise to it. You need something stronger. Cockroach 101.
That's right.
But what's funny about that is, again, it goes to like drug addiction and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
sure.
The fish have gotten...
they gotten used to it.
They need
something stronger.
Yeah, they need something stronger. Their tolerance has gotten too strong.
Crack-addicted bass. So next thing you see is Hank. He's back at, 6th and Woodmont, or whatever it was. And he's talking to Jack, and he's telling him that he's not criticizing his product, or by extension you. And Jack's like, yeah, I get it. You need something stronger. He says, exactly. You understand what I'm saying. Of course you understand, because you're a fisherman.
Dale jumps out, and he goes, I'll have what he's having. He's sitting behind the shed and pop or whatever it is where the drug dealer's standing. He pops up behind him and goes, well, I'll have what he's having.
Yeah, and Hank is like, Dale, what are you doing here? And then that's when the cops come up.
Yeah, cops
of course, Dale tells him that he followed him there, every twist and turn, but he's going to need a ride home. He's going to have to follow him back.
Yeah.
Cops come in. They basically arrest everybody there. And the next thing we see, we are back at court. And this time...
We're in interrogation room first, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're back at the interrogation room.
They're interrogating Hank first. And then Peggy's pacing around the room saying, well, I got you started on the ginseng tea with your addicted personality. It was funny that they takes it to the ginseng tea. And then she says, well, don't lie to me, Hank. Oh, no, he goes, Peggy, I thought I was buying fishing bait. She says, don't lie to me. I am not stupid. I'm a substitute teacher, not one of your drug-smoking friends.
That's right. And now we get Bill and, not Bill, but Dale and...
No, we're still in the room. He says, Mr. Hill, he's talking to his lawyer.
He's talking to the lawyer, that's right.
And he goes, Mr. Hill, this bass fishing defense isn't going to cut it. He goes, well, were you abused as a child?
What? No.
And then Hank said no, and then the lawyer goes, are you sure? Juries eat that up. And he goes, this is funny, one of the funniest lines in the show from Hank. Goes, well, maybe I ought to tie that long hair on your head to the short hair on your ass and kick you down the street. I told you, I'm not a doper.
Yeah, and his lawyer, which I'm assuming is the court-appointed one, says, come on, Mr. Hill, we all use drugs, even the president.
Not my president. I voted for Dole. The only thing he's on is painkillers, and he earned it.
So now we're finally in court, and they bring in the next case, Misters Gribble and Hill. Yep. The judge says, I'm glad to see you guys again. Mr. Hill, I'm assuming that you are the arresting party. And Hank has to let him know, no, it's kind of a funny mix-up, Your Honor. And then they go into, the judge recognizes that Dale has his hat on and he's smoking in court. Which maybe not the way to go.
Yeah, and then he answers. They ask him to take his hat off or whatever. Bailiff, remove your hat in my courtroom. Or Mr. Gribble, remove your hat in my courtroom. And he goes, I do not recognize the authority of a court that hangs the gold fringe flag. A flag with gilded edges is the flag of an admiralty court. An admiralty court signifies a naval court-martial. I cannot be court-martialed twice. That is all.
So what I love about that is we find out that Dale has been court-martialed.
And also from our fact checker, he says that admiralty law says that the flag trumps the Constitution under the law of the high seas. So admiral has resolute discretion at sea.
That is, he's really doing a great job there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got some really good stuff.
Fact
I've been able to use
on
most everything that he's given me so far.
Yeah, he is on it. That's great. So next, they basically gag Dale, so he can't say anymore. And the judge tells Hank, you're the last person I expected to be a drug user. Then Bobby pipes up because, again, the whole family goes to court together. Objection, Your Honor, my dad doesn't use drugs. The thing he needs to be happy is fishing. And then sustains himself.
Sustained.
Sustained.
Objection, Your Honor. My dad doesn't use drugs.
Yeah, sustains himself, which I love.
Strongest thing I use is a BC headache powder. I tell you what.
There it is. Yeah.
I may have accidentally purchased once or twice some illegal substances, but I was using them quite successfully, I might add, as fish bait.
That's right. And the thing.
That's funny because he says fish bait, and then the judge immediately goes, guilty.
So if anybody doesn't know what BC powder is, BC powder used to come, and it probably still does. It comes in these little packages that are long. They almost look like papers that you roll for cigarettes or whatever you roll in them. And it's
like a little wax paper or something.
Yeah, it's like a little wax paper, and it's basically aspirin, but it's before it's put into a tablet. So it's just the powder, before. And I could never stand that stuff, man. It tastes like garbage. It's awful. My dad swore by them. That's all he would take is a BC headache powder. And I love that
my dad wouldn't even take that.
I love that it's called headache powder.
Yeah.
So he is found guilty. And the court-appointed lawyer is like, see, I told you he wouldn't take that. And Hank ends up firing him. Hank also tells the judge, I'm not lying to you. I'm no criminal. I'm just a fisherman. And that's when the creative judge decides, okay, you got the haircut of an honest man.
Yeah, I don't like your story, but you've got the haircut of an honest man. I'm going to give you a chance to prove you're not a liar.
Yeah, and he says, I'm a bit of an angler myself. You and me and your bald buddy there are going to go out to the lake, and I'll show you you show me how to catch a wide-mouthed bass with a rock of crack. And so Hank tells him that the ecosystem's changed, blah, blah, blah. He goes into all of that, and the judge says, you know what?
Well, this is the thing I didn't understand is why don't he just go to a different watering hole and fish somewhere else?
Yeah, you would think so.
You're
right?
In Texas. There's a million places you can fish. There's a ton of them.
Yeah. So he tells him that he's either going to reel one in tomorrow or he's going to spend the next 24 months making Texas state license plates. Yep.
Fidelity Mutual Insurance versus Layaway Raised Bait Shop.
That's right. It's the next case, and it is Fidelity Mutual versus Layaway Raised Bait Shop. So we see all of them. The funniest thing to me is that the bailiff is in the boat at the same time.
Yeah, he's got the bailiff.
So it's the bailiff, it's the judge, it's Hank, and it's Dale, and they're out there fishing. He's trying to fish with crack. Which, again, if you're a judge and you're letting a guy fish with crack right next to you, I think you're probably breaking a few laws. I don't know for sure, but I've never been in that situation where I fished with crack. But so they're out there for at least 6 hours because the judge comments on the fact that it's that, and you want to admit your crime and do your time. Hank's like, no, sir, no, sir. And then Dale, out of the blue, catches a fish. And so we think that it's what's going to get them off the hook here.
Yeah,
no
he goes,
pun
well,
intended.
I'll be. Looks like you boys were telling the truth after all. And they pull the fish out. It's freaking
He just
frozen.
whacks it against the boat. Yeah, it's just bonk, bonk, bonk. He says, this fish is frozen. Dale's like, I caught it. That's my position.
Yeah, he goes, you obviously bought it at a grocery store. He said, if y'all try something like that again, I'm going to double your sentence. And then Hank gets pissed off. He goes, well, Dale, you giblet head, if you're going to cheat, why the hell did you buy a frozen bass? I had a coupon.
I had a coupon. So the judge gives them 5 more minutes.
He's got to be at a lethal injection by midnight. Yeah.
I put an exclamation mark next to that quote. I love that quote. He also tells Duke to get his butt off the cooler.
Get your butt off the cooler.
His honor wants a pudding.
His honor wants a pudding.
Pudding. And then here comes the worms out again. So Hank is going to go back to the worms. He's going to go back to the God-given way of fishing. And Dale is trying to let him know, Hank, don't do it. Don't cheat. He's going to double our sentence. And then Hank goes into one of his great American speeches. I'm not cheating now, Dale. Using cheater bait was cheating. I got greedy. I'm no better than that lazy greaseball who tried to steal my truck. Let's face facts. We're going to prison. And all we'll have to dream about is this last time we went fishing. I don't know about you, but I want to remember casting off with a hand-dug American worm, which is pretty inspiring, honestly. Because Hank is thinking he's going to prison. He doesn't care that Dale's going, but he thinks that he's going to prison, and he just wants this last memory.
Yeah, I think it's it. And then he goes, well, time's up. Start rowing,
Start
Duke.
rowing, Duke.
And boom.
Yep, and
now there's a man who loves to fish. The judge talking to the bailiff. Now there's a man who loves to fish. All makes me sorry to send him to the farm.
The farm. I've never really understood why they call the prison a farm. Maybe our fact checker can find that out for us. Why they call the prison a farm?
Oh, I could tell you that.
Oh yeah,
it's free labor. It's farmed. They're farmed. Like,
I think they actually farmed?
Yeah, some do.
Huh.
Some there's jails in South Texas and stuff that.
All right.
Or it's a human farm. They're all in stockades.
Humans?
No, you're not growing them, but they're in stockades like a farm.
Stockades? No, come on.
In pens.
Oh, okay.
You're in pens. Well, stockade is a pen in a farm.
And so Hank finally catches a fish on a worm, and it's a little tiny bass. It's normally something that you would immediately throw back. You wouldn't take a picture of or whatever. But the judge says, you know what? She ain't pretty, but she's a bass, all right, and you're free to go. That amazes me. That's all it took.
So all it took was
catch a minnow. Yeah.
This one, 6-inch bass, and well, that's all we needed. And now you don't have to go to jail.
That is crazy. That's crazy stuff. Hank says it's the most beautiful fish I ever caught. I tell you what. And Dale's like, hold her up, Hank, and he takes that final Polaroid of him. And then we get a bunch of Polaroids of them just goofing around in the boat with the judge and the bailiff.
Yeah.
So this episode took advantage of a lot of animation. Like, there was extra parts in this episode where it was just either quiet or like the frogs croaking or the lily pads or whatever. I mean,
I really like that one. Like that one scene when Hank's catching that last fish. Before he catches that last fish, they just do this.
It's just so peaceful.
Pan across the lake with the frog and the bird tweeting. Yeah, I like that. It was good. They used there was a lot of good animation.
It's a good episode. It's kind of an outlier from everything else because Hank doesn't do drugs very often.
No, he doesn't.
And so it was a little different from the rest of them, but it's a really great episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode. I think so too.
I got to tell you, I absolutely love Luann in small doses. I'm not a big fan of the Luann.
I like it when she's successful at something.
Yeah, the Luann-centric episodes are a little whatever, but boy, when she's just like the wacky next-door neighbor kind of thing,
I like her
great.
in this episode. I like her when she's like accomplishing something.
Yep. So we get our credits, and then at the end of the credits, we hear, "That's it, I'm going fishing."
Yep. That was the stinger quote.
The little stinger, the little tag. Yep.
And for the record, stockade means a barrier formed from upright wooden post or stake, especially as a defense against attack or as a means of confining animals. So when you say the stockyards, it's really stockade yard, but it's just we just shortened it to stockyard.
All right.
Because a stockade blocks the stock from getting out.
Blocks the
it's
stock.
A stock aid. It aids you in keeping your stock.
You think that's
blocked.
really it?
I mean, I'm going to say yes.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you until
yes.
I know otherwise.
I know for certain
sure.
that stock is shortened from stockade for farming purposes. Because in the old country in England, they call them stockades.
Well, see, when I think of stockade, I think of one of those things you put your head in your hands through and they put the thing down on you.
Military penal colony thing where you throw fruit at you with your head and your neck and the we're not doing anything.
Rotten fruit target. Yeah, man, this was a good episode. It was great. So we'll be back again next week with season 2, episode 6. Good Lord.
Episode 6 already.
We're already on 6 of season 2.
But there's 20 plus in this one, so we got a long way to go.
I get that, but boy,
we're steaming.
They go pretty quick.
They are. We're steaming through.
I don't ever want to be accused of steaming.
No.
But sure.
We are also have an interview coming up with a content creator from Instagram called Feminist Peggy.
Feminist Peggy. So be on the lookout for that. It was a little bonus. We're going to throw that in the feed. Hope you guys enjoy that interview. All right. Until next time, where can they find us?
They can find us at BWAAAKOTH, BWA KOTH on all social media. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
There you go. And make sure you go buy some stuff from Ballsy and some stuff from Sundays for Dogs. By the way, I want to talk about Sundays for Dogs just for 1 second. I have never seen my dogs enjoy something so much.
Oh, they love it?
I'm not even kidding. This is not a sales pitch. This is not anything. They sent me a big bag of that stuff, and it's like little chunks of beef jerky, right?
Oh, and they're eating it up.
Oh, my God. They go insane for that stuff.
It's got to be good stuff. It's got to be healthy. Dogs know. Yeah, dogs know.
Oh, my God.
Animals know what's best.
I got this one dog. He'll jump 3 feet off the floor to get it. I mean, he is.
It's got some good stuff. We should try some. We should bring some up here for us to try.
It's got some crack in it or something. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You can find us and lots of other great shows at roguemedianetwork.com. And until next time,
Wematanye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.